Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Thoughts. Today we're going to be talking about Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. Now, before I actually get into it, I just want to say, yes, this is a little bit late. I was ill with COVID, and just wasn't really able to record, so this is technically coming out the day that Episode 7 comes out, but, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme. But of course, spoilers ahead for Episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett, and roll that intro. So we start with some moisture farms, some moisture evaporators. I don't think it's necessarily those, but it's a moisture farm from the description. Pretty cool to see more of that when we're on Tatooine, makes sense. And we're actually witnessing a drug deal with some Pike Syndicate members. A little bit out in the open, but also in the middle of nowhere, so can't really blame them for thinking they're safe. And it turns out we're actually in Mos Pelgo, because the Marshal appears from The Mandalorian, because, this is another episode of The Mandalorian. So we have an entire altercation with the Marshal and the Pikes. 3 of the Pikes die, one of them is sent packing and has to abandon the spice that, the Marshal just kind of tosses out into the sand. He just kind of goes, nah, I'm good, and just gets rid of the spice that was left. Which, I'm sure there's some Banthas upwind that are having a great time right now on some spice, but that's fair enough. A good cold open there. And then we're back with Mando, because, as I say, this is just another episode of The Mandalorian, just like last episode. And, we follow him as he flies into a very grassy, green planet, and he's being brought there by R2, or directed how to land by R2. So R2's back, loved to see, and of course that means, as was kind of promised in the previous episode, Mando's trying to go meet Grogu again, talk to Skywalker, and first off we have a bunch of androids, which are really cool. I don't believe we've ever seen androids before, but they're essentially just segmented, 6-legged, 3-body droids with a grabber on the front and a little eye stalk and stuff. They're pretty cool, and they're building a little structure, which is presumably the school that we see in episode 8 and 9 in flashbacks mostly. It's pretty cool seeing how droids can build things, which is not something we see too much of. We've seen construction droids in the past, especially in Clone Wars, but it's not really something that's mentioned all too much. But in any case, R2 talks to one of them, deactivates himself, and then the androids build a little bench for Din Djarin. And that's really it for that for a while. And then we're sent right over to good old Grogu and Luke. And I'm going to say it right now, Luke definitely looks better. The CGI is definitely better. The face stuff is definitely better technology. He still looks weird, and I can't figure out why. It is it's not uncomfortable Uncanny Valley, but it's definitely Uncanny Valley. I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's not quite right. And I stand by with what I said during The Mandalorian, which is, why is it that the Battlefront 2 model for Luke Skywalker looks so much more, accurate than the actual live-action CGI model? Because it's such a weird thing. But I do believe it's a different actor playing the physical, playing the actual body of Luke. But it is still, Luke Skywalker doing the voice. It's still Mark Hamill, which I didn't realise that it was Mark Hamill last time, honestly. I thought it was a impressionist, but no, apparently it is Mark Hamill, and he's still doing a great job. He's a little bit more subdued, and I think that's on purpose to try and get the facial expressions to be a bit more consistent. He still looks a bit weird. But moving on from that anyway, we have one of those one-eyed frog things that Grogu loves to have. He tries to eat it using the Force, and Luke kind of goes, nah, don't do that, lets the frog go. And then Luke just decides to pick up a ton of frogs, all at once. Which I guess is to, show Grogu, if you listen to me and learn the Force, you can you can have all the frogs you want, sort of thing. But I don't know, it seems like a little bit of a weird message. But yeah, we have a few more lines and stuff, a few more bits and bobs. And we then have a bunch of stuff about Yoda, which, I mean, it's about time we've had a proper mention of him. We get a few references, like, directly with Size Matters Not, stuff like that. All pretty, cool stuff to hear. And quite honestly, it's nice that they are referencing that, like, Grogu is just another Yoda. And then we are given a flashback of Grogu. Like, Luke just straight up goes, "Do you want to remember your past?" And I assume Grogu, like, subconsciously says yes or something, because he doesn't nod or anything. Luke just does it. And we are treated to a little flashback of the 501st slaughtering 3 Jedi during Order 66, right in front of Grogu. And presumably Grogu is in some sort of container, or maybe even in an astromech droid or something, because once these Jedi have died, the clone troopers just kind of run past Grogu, which is kind of weird. If they could see Grogu, surely they wouldn't do that. But in any case, I was pretty confident. We only see one Jedi of the 3 that's, like, recognizable at all. I was pretty certain that it was Sindralig, who is, like, the battle master, and is often in charge of Padawans and younglings and stuff like that. A lot of people are saying that it can't be him because he died to Anakin, and obviously Anakin just isn't in that scene. I'm still holding out some sort of, not hope necessarily, but I'm still kind of thinking maybe it is Sindralig, just because it looks like him. But I've been wrong before with stuff like that, and as I say, a lot of people are basically saying in episode 3 he is shown to die to Anakin. Canon changes all the time. I could see them changing it to be Sindralig in that situation. I don't know though. Currently, kind of up in the air. Maybe we'll find out in episode 7, but who knows really? It could go nowhere. But in any case, 2 completely hooded Jedi, one of which is definitely human, or humanoid, and then this other human-looking Jedi who kind of looks like Sindralig from the back. And that's really it. They all die. 1 blue lightsaber, 2 green. There's not really much to go on with that, but it's nice to see more Order 66 stuff from different perspectives. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. And then Ahsoka's back. Now, I love Ahsoka. I adore her. I absolutely, with every fibre of my body, adore Ahsoka. And yeah, honestly, I'm so glad that she's back. Rosario Dawson is wonderful. I love her. Like, she's, the voice isn't perfect. I've said this every time. The voice isn't perfect to what I remember from, obviously, I'm gonna have to Google her name, but from what the voice actress did in Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. Ashley Eccleston. I've just Googled it quickly, but yeah, Ashley Eccleston. She's done such a good job with that character that it's like, it is kind of weird when Rosario Dawson doesn't talk like that, but I mean, she looks perfect. I'd love to see Ahsoka, and yeah, that's really it. Ahsoka's back. She brings Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, close enough to be able to see Grogu, but not actually to him. Gives a whole spiel about connections and attachment and stuff like that, and then takes the little gift that Mando and the Armourer forged last episode to give to Grogu at some point, which is all very nice. Then when we return back to Luke and Grogu, we get a nice reference to do or do not, there is no try, when it comes to using the Force and stuff. And then we're shown Master Luke just kind of being a dick, in my opinion. He's not very patient or all that kind, really, to Grogu. He makes Grogu jump. He gives Grogu a training droid, the things that shoot you, the things that like Luke practiced his lightsaber defense with, and just kind of lets it shoot Grogu and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure, like, I'm just overthinking it all, but it just seemed a little bit mean. It just seemed a little bit not very nice towards Grogu, and it's like, as many people keep reminding me in my mentions on Twitter, Grogu is still very much just a baby, even though he's 50 years old, which, I use that point a lot, the fact that he's like the same age as Anakin. Yeah, I understand that, like, he is still a child in his species as, like, age, he's still a baby, but it's like, if that's the case, why is Luke treating him like he's like 20? He's putting way too much on him. But yeah, Grogu actually gets the ability to jump. We got them Yoda jumps, just the big, way too high jumps that don't make any sense. But I mean, we also see plenty of normal-sized humanoids that do those kinds of jumps, and we don't really question it. So I mean, it is whatever. We then have a line from Ahsoka saying that Luke is so much like his father. And I don't really know what to take from that. In the conversation, it kind of comes out of nowhere. Presumably, it's something to do with Luke's lack of patience, potentially. But yeah, either way, so much like your father when your father is Darth Vader, not the best thing to say, in my opinion. But I mean, it is what it is. It's an interesting enough little reference, and we do have a friend of the family reference early on from Ahsoka, basically being like, I'm friends with Anakin, Padme, and now Luke. So I mean, and Padme actually. Wait, is that a thing in Rebels? I can't remember. Obviously, Leia interacts with a lot of the Rebels crew. I'm not sure if she ever interacts with Ahsoka directly. But yeah, that it was a nice little reference. I quite enjoy Ahsoka's little chats and stuff with Luke. It's nice to see these characters interact, quite honestly. Even if, Luke has never been my favourite. I've never really been the biggest fan of Luke. But he is an integral part of Star Wars. He is so important. He is the Skywalker for the vast majority of the franchise. And, it's nice to see him interact with my favourite character in Star Wars, Ahsoka. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. We then have... Oh, God. We then have a return back to Tatooine with a 10-second cameo by Boba Fett. He doesn't even have a line in this, so it's very much on par with his appearances in the original trilogy, quite honestly. But yeah, we have a meeting with all the people, the mods and Chrysanthemum and Mando and Fennec Shand and all that, just basically discussing like what's happening on Tatooine with the Pikes. And yeah, we're then basically told by Mando that he knows where to get fighters, where to get backup, where to get like some support. And he goes to Mos Pelgo and talks to the Marshal and the Deputy about how they can make make a good team and like become warriors for Boba Fett. And I don't get why. I don't get why. Also, in my notes, I did rewatch this episode prior to starting this review again, starting this thoughts video. I wrote it was a scheduled vacation, and I cannot remember what that was like a response to. But yeah, I wrote it was a scheduled vacation anyway. So interesting enough. I really do not know what that was, what that was about. But yeah, it's very much interesting that Mando goes, oh, I know some warriors, and then goes to Mos Pelgo rather than, maybe contacting the Mandalorians that he knows. Maybe that would have been a smarter idea, but I mean, I guess maybe they're not on the best of terms because he has the Darksaber or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of unsuccessful. Mando leaves, and then the stranger that's in the title comes from the desert, and it is not. I still can't believe this happened. It's been a week, basically, since this happened. I still can't get over it. Cad Bane comes out of the desert and is working for the Pike Syndicate. Cad Bane, the cowboy himself. And honestly, I love Cad. Cad is one of my favourite bounty hunters in Star Wars, just generally. I think he's so cool. I love his hats. I love his little droid companion that comes with him all the time. He has some of the best arcs in Clone Wars, and he has a great appearance in the Bad Batch as well. I love Cad Bane, same voice actor as in the Clone Wars and Bad Batch, which is amazing. Obviously, he has a history with both Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. It's amazing to have him back, and quite honestly, I'm so happy that he is. He has a shootout with the deputy and the marshal. The marshal is alive. He just gets shot in the shoulder. The deputy gets full-on massacred, like shot multiple times, all over, completely dead. Like, the marshal is going to be fine, and it's going to be very much a thing of, like, it's kind of up in the air. We don't see him be alive, but we know he gets shot in the shoulder, and he's got immediate attention brought to him by the people of Mos Pelgo, so he'll be fine. But yeah, Cad Bane. I love Cad Bane. Cad Bane's back, and he is beautiful, and he's wonderful, and I love him. And then, just to end the episode, we have the Pikes going into Paradise, the bar that we've seen multiple times this series, and they blow it up. They just put a canister down and leave without getting their drinks and blow up the bar, which is definitely a choice. I don't see what it does for them, because realistically that bar wasn't like aligned with Boba or anything. It was just kind of neutral in everything. It was willing to work with whoever came by. But yeah, it was a thing. And then the actual end is that we are shown what that present for Grogu was. It's Beskar chainmail, like a lot of people did think. I can't actually remember if I said it, I thought it was or not. I definitely had an inkling that it was chainmail, but I don't think I said it in the last thoughts video. But yeah, it's Beskar chainmail, like a chainmail shirt sort of thing. Looks pretty cool. But then Luke gives a choice between the chainmail and Yoda's lightsaber, which I have no clue how they found Yoda's lightsaber, but they did apparently. And yeah, Grogu must choose between the Mandalorian life by taking the Beskar and being returned to Din, or taking the Yoda's lightsaber and remaining on the path of the Jedi. And honestly, like, it's really annoying because it would not make sense if he chose the lightsaber. Like, it would not make sense as a story. But I kind of want it to, because otherwise it's too obvious. Because it's so obvious to me that Grogu's going to pick the Beskar and go back to Din. But yeah, we'll find out hopefully in episode 7. If not, we'll find out in Mandalorian season 3 or Book of Boba Fett season 2, because at this point Book of Boba Fett is just Mandalorian, which we kind of knew before. We knew that Book of Boba Fett was just Mandalorian 2.5, but still, it's kind of just, it's a bit weird that we've had 2 episodes where we've had about 5 seconds of Boba Fett in a show called Book of Boba Fett, but that's beside the point. Yeah, it's an interesting choice, and I'm really interested in seeing where they go with it. I don't want Grogu to pick the lightsaber, but I also want to, like, I want them to do that just because it goes against what I expect. Like, I want them to go against my expectations, and that's really the thing. This series has, for the most part, gone exactly where I thought it was going. The fact that there's so much Mandalorian in it goes against what I thought out of a show called Book of Boba Fett. But, like, otherwise, it's a lot of what I kind of knew would happen in this series. So, like, if they can, go the opposite way to what I'm thinking, that'd be great. I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter, especially, of just people not being very happy with this series. And I completely understand that. I personally think that these 2 episodes, episode 5 and 6, have definitely been the best. Episode 7, I'm hoping, is going to be good. But yeah, I think Boba Fett has just not been a strong enough character, and that's probably why they decided, to have 2 episodes that were just Mandalorian episodes, because I don't think anyone really knows what to do with Boba Fett. Like, they brought him back because people wanted him back. I'm very happy he's back in the universe again, but, like, I don't really know what they can do with him, and that's kind of a shame. But yeah, I'm always up for more Grogu, more Ahsoka, more Mando, any of the other characters that they decide to bring back from Mandalorian. I'm up for any characters they bring back from Rebels and Bad Batch. I'm always up for. Just, honestly, just do more setup for, like, Ahsoka. Like, that's all I care. That show is going to be amazing. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So thanks for watching. If you did like it, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new around here, and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. And I guess I'll see you in a few hours when the next episode comes out and I do my thoughts video on that. But in any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you've ever heard on